Hi guys, Crystal Moon here. Welcome to my Witchy Wednesday episode. Today I have been trying so hard to record outside. I thought with today's weather, it's super overcasted like weird. But I thought with today's weather that it would kind of go hand in hand with what I wanted to talk about with today on my episode, but everything in the world has been preventing me from getting this thing recorded without fault. Phone calls, airplanes, barking dogs, my tortoise got caught under something under the front porch, and when I leave somebody calls and it kicks off my video. So I'm, trying with a new tripod with a remote, trying to, upgrade and do a little bit better at some of this stuff that I'm trying to produce. So bear with me. This has been every episode is a learning experience. And while I thought this was going to be fun outside, I'm getting kind of burnt out on recording this thing 50 million times. So hopefully this is the last time. I want to talk about, it's crazy, weird, overcast day. And I wanted to talk about our emotions and our magic. I've tried to cover a lot of groundwork when it comes to what we need. Because, when it's all said and done, we are the magic, we are the tool, we are the main tool. And we are the one that probably needs the most work in order to, properly produce magic that is what we want. And when our emotions get in the way of our magic, it can be stupid. It can be chaos. It can be uncontrolled and unforgiving magic. And what I mean by that is most people, because we are in such a social media driven world, someone throws a post up and we misread it or we read into it too much. We take offense to it. And then, we're hurt, so we go home and then perform some magic that, should not have been done because we were at the height of a certain emotional state that 24 hours later wouldn't be necessarily the same thing. I have learned to go by a kind of a little motto of let it simmer and sulk for 24 to 48 hours, only because what your initial emotion is when you respond to something is not the same emotion 24 hours later, and may not be the same emotion 48 hours later. If after 48 hours it is still the same emotion, by all means, your magic is your own and you do what you need to do. But I had, and the reason for this video is it brought up a conversation I had with someone who was reaching out to me on Instagram here a couple months ago about a binding spell that they had done on their significant other who they thought was cheating on them. There was phone calls or text messages, and someone had seen their significant other talking to someone else, so it was enough for them to think that they were not being faithful. So as soon as they got home, before the other one got home, they had done this. Basically was a binding spell. Said binding spell did not have the effect that they wanted because it was in the heat of the moment, and the relationship turned super controlling. The significant other turned just possessive, and it went overboard. So at that point, I guess, according to the story here, what I was told, they decided to come clean. Well, first, they found out the person that they thought their significant other was cheating on with was a recently reconnected, long-lost relative. So a lot of this could have been avoided with an open line of communication, but it wasn't. And I know some people do not like confrontation, so maybe this was one of those situations where they did not feel comfortable confronting the other person. just to avoid a fight. So they went home and did the spell. But after, this whole crazy effect thing happened, they did confront significant other, tell significant other, hey, I did this to you. I'm really sorry. I thought this was going on, da-da-da-da-da. And honestly, if that had happened to me, I would have had to seriously outweigh the relationship, because I don't know if I would have stayed in a relationship with someone who wanted to, control like that over something that they didn't even converse about, and that's my biggest thing. But either way, they came clean. They were okay with it. They did come clean. And when I had this conversation online with this person, I pretty much told them, hopefully that in itself will dilute the potency of the spell, because you have now made it verbalized. The other person doesn't know about it, and now, maybe you guys can work forward from there. I had given tips on some ritual baths for spell breaking for her, some things they could do, because he had just found a random spell online, and no big deal. Just decided to do it. So my big thing to you, sorry, my wind chime keeps going off. I thought it was hitting something. My big thing would be, when it comes to influencing spell work, or pushing ill will out on people, things of that sort, make sure you have a backup spell, a get out of jail free card spell that works. A spell breaker spell, a hex breaker spell, something that works, because if you are not emotionally invested in your spell, then this is the kind of stuff that could happen. And even in that case, they're overly emotionally invested. I just always say, let it simmer for 24 to 48 hours. If you still feel the same way, go for it. But by that time, maybe other things have presented themselves. Maybe it wasn't even exactly what you thought it was, or, you feel different, and maybe spell work is still necessary, but maybe you have a totally different angle on it now of where you feel this would have the best effect. And, like I said, there are reasons for the lengtheliness of putting together a spell. It gives you plenty of time to put your mind into it, to set your intentions, whether, on my last video, whether you do it mentally, verbally, or written. However you decide to put those intentions out there, it gives you plenty of time to put all of this in there. Make sure you just practice being present. I have been practicing more of that the last year and a half. With COVID being home on lockdown, I have really tried to focus on my own emotions and how I react to things, and noticing what my first reaction is. And I've noticed over the last year or so, I usually just jump to the anger side. Not that I react on it, but that's just my initial emotion. So I've really been trying to concentrate on not so much getting angry, but understanding why. Why is that my initial go-to? Why am I not sad? Why am I not, anything else? So practice mindfulness, practice being present. That's been something that I have been suffering, and I still do with anxiety, is dwelling too much on the past, dwelling too much on the future. What you need to dwell on is the here and now, things that you can do to have a direct effect on your life, and of course, in this video, your spell work. When you practice being present, you are putting your intentions and your wholeheartedness into your work right now. Meditation is another thing. Take 5 minutes. If you don't want to do the full ritual, even, there are plenty of them that do the whole circle casting. If you're not into that and you don't want to, there's a reason for it. Not only is it for protection, but it puts your mind directed long enough to really put you in this present state. So meditation is another great way. Before you do any spell work, take 2 minutes, minimum, 5 minutes, max. Sit, be calm, think about what you want to do with your spell. Have your mind set in those 2 to 5 minutes and walk into that spell ready. And I guarantee you, you will have a much better outcome. You will feel better about your intentions being put out there because you will notice that you're fully invested. You're fully invested in what magic you're producing. And it makes a ton of a difference, believe me. So this is my rant for this Wednesday. We're going to get to spell work next week after. I'm trying to do this every 2 weeks, so I don't get overwhelmed with everything else going on in my life. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll work on the spell in 2 weeks when I see you again. I will, however, probably be popping in with another tarot card review. As you know, any of you know, I have just a massive collection and it keeps growing, so I want to share whether I like them or not, what I like about them or not, and jump in and do that. So I hope you guys maybe are learning something from these. I feel like a lot of people skip the basics, like the groundwork, the foundational work that you need, and everybody just wants to jump into doing spells. And you'll see a much better result if you take the time to build the foundation. And these last 3 videos that I've done are really a lot about the foundation. I think that's all I really have. So maybe we'll work on, some spells here next time. But thank you for sitting in if you're still here with me 12 minutes later. And I'm glad. I think I'm finally going to have a video that I posted after doing this probably 12 times. So I hope you have an awesome Wednesday, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.